For 10 long years I was ensnared in a union that shimmered with perfection to the outside world, but within its walls, it was a hollow shell stripped of all meaning. My husband and I found ourselves ensnared in a silence that suffocated all but the mundane conversations about bills, groceries, and our son. Once a vibrant warmth enveloped the air, but now it has vanished, replaced by a haunting silence where joy once flourished. There are no clashes, no turmoil, only a hollow echo of what once was, lingering in the stillness. I had convinced myself that this was the way of the world, that people like me no longer needed warmth or connection. But deep down, the truth gnawed at me. I craved connection, yearned for affection, and longed for someone to genuinely inquire about my well-being. Someone whose concern held true significance. My days were consumed by the relentless cycle of tidying up, nurturing my plants, and donning a mask of happiness. Yet, as night fell and I nestled beside him, the silence enveloped us, echoing louder than any words ever could. It felt like an eternity since our hands had last intertwined. After his illness, he transformed into a mere echo of the vibrant man I once adored. A ghostly figure drifting through life, unrecognizable and lost. As he faded, I too began to dissolve into the background, not as a partner or even as a person, but as a silent specter, dutifully preparing meals, folding laundry, and wearing a mask of cheerfulness for the world to see. Nathan, our son, had transformed into an extraordinary individual. At 24, he radiated promise and warmth, a beacon of hope in a world that often felt cold and uninviting. It felt like an eternity since I had last set my gaze upon his best friend, Ethan. In his teenage years, he burst through the door with a hearty laugh, his presence filling the room as he rummaged through our fridge, yet somehow he always carried an air of respect that kept the atmosphere balanced. With determination in his heart, he set forth on a journey to Canada, ready to embrace the challenges of his studies, while the world around him continued to unfold in its relentless rhythm. One fateful evening, a single moment ignited a torrent of memories, pulling him back into the depths of my thoughts. On a Thursday, the rain poured relentlessly, setting the stage for the dramatic events that were about to unfold. Nathan embarked on a work trip, the distance from home stretching like an uncharted expanse before him. Just as I was lost in the rhythm of preparing dinner, the doorbell rang, slicing through the quiet with an unexpected urgency. I swung the door wide, revealing Ethan, now towering and radiating confidence, yet still holding on to those unmistakably gentle eyes that I remembered so well. With a warm smile, he leaned closer, his voice low and inviting. "I just happened to be passing by and couldn't resist checking in on you." I ushered him in, the gesture flowing effortlessly, as if it were an instinct deeply ingrained within me. We huddled around the kitchen table, steaming cups of tea cradled in our hands, as we spun stories of life's fleeting moments and the ordinary threads that intricately bind our days. He wove captivating stories of his job, recounting thrilling adventures and the deep yearning that tugged at his heart for the comforts of home. Every word enveloped me, drawing me deeper into the effortless magic of the moment. As he surveyed the familiar surroundings, a sense of nostalgia washed over him. Everything stood unchanged, a haunting echo of the past. With a flicker of nostalgia in his eyes, he said, "You haven't changed either. Your presence exudes a serene calmness that envelopes those around you." A soft chuckle escaped my lips as I shook my head ever so slightly, a hint of amusement dancing in my eyes. Chaos swirls within me, a stark contrast to any notion of serenity. "Thank you, Ethan." He nodded, his gaze filled with understanding, and in that moment, I felt seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. A spark in that fleeting moment stirred something deep within me, a sensation I had buried for far too long. In that instant, there was no spark, only a heavy stillness that hung in the air. In that fleeting instant, I felt seen by someone who recognized me not just as a mother or a wife, but as a person with my own essence. Little did I know that this brief meeting would ignite a profound change, reshaping not just my existence, but also the very essence of my heart. That evening, after he had left, I remained by the window, the echoes of the rain fading into silence. I pondered the boy who had grown into a man and the woman I had neglected to see within myself. The weeks that followed drifted by, seemingly unhurried, but within me, a profound transformation had ignited after that fateful night. To my astonishment, Ethan emerged unexpectedly the following Sunday. He stepped through the door, a box of pastries in hand, his casual demeanor belying the tension that hung in the air. "Just thought I'd check in," he said. But the weight of his presence suggested there was much more beneath the surface. As he stepped through the door, I greeted him with a warm smile, inviting him into the unfolding story of the evening. We delved into memories of books, music, and the treasured moments from the time when he and Nathan roamed the halls of their school. He ignited a joy within me, a feeling so extraordinary that it almost obliterated the recollection of the ease found in another's presence. He was resolute in his indifference, showing no desire to captivate me or draw my gaze. He hung on every word, completely entranced. When he asked questions, it was not just out of politeness. His concern ran deep, a shadow that loomed over him. He asked how I filled my days, what ignited my happiness, and when I paused just a heartbeat too long, his steady gaze pierced through me as he said, "You should seek out something for yourself, something that is truly yours." I nodded, a surge of uncertainty crashing over me, for it had been an eternity since anyone had dared to ask about my preferences. Ethan started to make his presence known, slipping in once or twice a week, sometimes for a mere 10 minutes, while other times he would stay, drawn in by the atmosphere, for a while longer. He had a way of wrapping me in comfort, as if the world outside faded away, leaving only a sense of tranquility in his presence. It was deemed entirely acceptable. He would come bearing books, his hands busy with small repairs around the house, always vanishing into the shadows before Nathan's return. A sudden clarity washed over me. I should have drawn a line in the sand, yet beneath the surface a tempest brewed, unseen by the eyes of the world. Yet a tumult brewed within me, a truth that loomed larger, demanding recognition. I embarked on a journey to unearth the essence of my true self. As I delved back into the world of books, I found myself paying attention to my appearance, not for him, but because he ignited a long-buried awareness within me. I was still a woman, vibrant and full of my own thoughts, preferences, and a self that had been shrouded in years of silence. It soared beyond the bounds of simple self-importance. A moment of awakening unfolded, stirring the depths of the soul. On a still afternoon, the air thick with nostalgia, I stood in the kitchen, my hands deftly working on a dish long forgotten. Just then, Ethan stepped through the doorway, breaking the silence and drawing me into an unexpected moment. He noticed right away. His grin widened as he conjured the vivid memories of those moments. In the days of our studies when Nathan and I roamed these halls, you spun those tales with a captivating flair. The scent of cinnamon envelopes the house, infusing it with a cozy warmth that transforms it into a genuine sanctuary. A smile slowly unfurled on my lips, a mix of disbelief and warmth flooding through me as I realized he clung to that minuscule piece of our intertwined past. In that fleeting moment, his voice wrapped around me like a warm embrace. The scent hung in the air, wrapping around me like a long-lost embrace, a warmth that felt both familiar and haunting. I never understood the depths of my longing. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, our words intertwined like the colors of twilight. But then, in an instant, his expression darkened, transforming into one of profound seriousness. He said, "I hope you understand that you are destined to be in the spotlight. Your presence lingers on. You remain an integral part of this epic tale." My throat tightened and I opted for silence. I found myself powerless to accomplish that task. His words sliced through the defenses I had meticulously built over the years. Once he departed, silence wrapped around me again. But this time it bore a heavier burden. The silence hung heavy, brimming with untold stories waiting to be unleashed. It surged within me, a powerful emotion I hadn't felt in a decade. Anticipation. I found myself utterly adrift in its significance. I remained oblivious to the depths of his emotions. Amidst the chaos of my thoughts, a singular truth emerged, cutting through the fog of doubt. Ethan had stirred a deep and powerful force within me, awakening a tender and nurturing essence I had never known was absent until he seamlessly brought it back to life. On a tranquil evening, reminiscent of countless others that had slipped through the fingers of time, Nathan was absent once again. I found myself lost in contemplation, enveloped by the comforting silence that had long defined my life. For months I spun a web of illusion, constructing a story where all seemed well, where I wore a mask of contentment, and where the deep longing for something more flickered like a distant dream, barely tangible yet hauntingly present. Yet, as the night deepened, I felt an irresistible pull, compelling me to confront the shadows that danced around me. At that moment, Ethan appeared, as he always did. We found ourselves drawn into a captivating exchange, delving into the pages of a book that had completely captured his imagination. As the conversation shifted unexpectedly, a new fire flickered in his eyes, an intensity that had long been concealed. He fell silent, his gaze locked onto mine, a soft yet resolute intensity shimmering in his eyes. As we stood there, the distance that had once divided us began to dissolve, drawing us closer in an undeniable pull. The stillness enveloped me, thick and suffocating, as my heart began to race with an intensity that felt foreign and unsettling. A powerful urge tugged at me to look away, but I stood frozen, unable to move. I found myself unable to accomplish that task. His presence filled the room like a thick fog, awakening emotions long buried within me. After years of solitude, an intense longing surged within me, a desire for a connection that transcended mere companionship, something heartfelt and profoundly real. The journey of motherhood still lay ahead, untouched and uncharted. I was not bound by the title of a wife. In a world where shadows danced and whispers lingered, a woman caught his eye. He reached out, his hand a beacon of warmth and kindness, offering a touch that promised solace amidst the chaos. His touch was soft, lingering with a sense of caution, as though he were navigating through a realm yet to be discovered. I stood in silence, deeply touched by the raw sincerity of the moment. Words slipped through my fingers like sand, elusive and fleeting. My body was paralyzed as if encased in ice. His thumb glided softly over my hand, a tender gesture that sent a shiver of warmth coursing through me, the delicate caress igniting a spark of connection between us. There was an absence of hostility, a calmness that enveloped the atmosphere. The atmosphere was relaxed and unhurried. It enveloped me in warmth, a beckoning embrace, as though he were offering a treasure I had never realized I longed for. As I locked my gaze with his, a wave of warmth washed over me, and in that instant, I felt truly seen for the first time in what felt like an eternity. "I don't want to make you uncomfortable," he said gently, his voice barely above a whisper. "But you don't have to face this solitude. There's no need to carry that weight on your shoulders." His words drifted toward me, a fragile lifeline in the turbulent sea of my thoughts, yet I remained paralyzed, unable to reach out and seize it. I pulled my hand back and suddenly the space between us felt like an endless chasm, deep and unfathomable. "Ethan, I can't," I stammered, my voice quaking under the crushing weight of guilt that was already beginning to anchor itself within me. He nodded, a gesture steeped in quiet acceptance, stripped of anger or frustration, radiating a profound sense of understanding. He allowed me the freedom to exist, unburdened by any pressure or attempts to influence my mind. He stood up, his eyes locking onto mine for a fleeting moment that felt like an eternity, before he finally turned away. "I'll go," he murmured softly, his voice barely above a whisper, yet the weight of his words lingered in the air. "But there's no need for you to hide who you truly are." He departed, leaving me behind, my hand still tingling with the lingering warmth of his touch. My mind was a tempest of thoughts, each one crashing against the other, drowning me in a sea of emotion. In that moment, a tempest of emotions engulfed me, yearning remorse, gnawing uncertainty, and an overwhelming desire that clawed at my insides. I was left wrestling with a profound sense of self-loathing. How could I possibly crave him? How could I possibly entertain such misguided thoughts when I was a mother, a wife? Yet, it reached far beyond that solitary moment. The path we traveled was woven from every moment that had led us to this very point. In a world shrouded in silence, a profound emptiness crept into my life, awakening a stark realization. It had been far too long since I had truly felt seen or valued. Ethan's fingers brushed against mine, a touch that hung in the air, electric and unforgettable. In that fleeting moment, thick with unvoiced stories, he unearthed a deep truth, one that lingered beneath the burdens of daily existence and the comfort of conformity. Though I was unaware of its true importance, I could not escape the fact that it had irrevocably changed me. Standing at a crossroads, I felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on me, each potential path shrouded in mystery, leaving me to question if I should dare to take a single step forward. That evening, the memory of his gaze and the spark of his touch clung to my thoughts, igniting a flicker of life within me once more. In that fleeting moment, I understood I had finally emerged into the light. The days that followed were thick with an electric tension, a creeping unease that seeped into every corner of my home. My mind was engulfed by the whirlwind of events that had followed Ethan's touch. His words lingered in the air, wrapping around me like a warm embrace, making me feel profoundly seen and cherished. Yet, despite their power, I stood paralyzed, unable to confront the truth that loomed before me. I tried to convince myself it was insignificant, just a fleeting moment, but deep down, I knew the truth was far more profound. A transformation had taken place, one so profound that I could no longer ignore its presence. Ethan made his way there time and again, each visit steeped in anticipation. At first, everything unfolded with a sense of ease, reminiscent of the way things had always been. He would arrive with bags of groceries, his presence a comforting routine, and share captivating stories from his day at work, each tale drawing me deeper into his world. Yet, an unseen current flowed between us, a delicate transformation that resonated with each look, each utterance. He had become something far beyond Nathan's closest companion. A stirring unease gripped me as he became aware of a transformation within, a burgeoning significance that sent shivers down my spine. I fought to preserve my sanctuary, whispering to myself that nothing could transpire, that my vows would remain unbroken, no matter how empty they felt. Yet, whenever he drew near, I felt an undeniable pull, a captivating force that ensnared my very being. Ethan had arrived unexpectedly, and we soon found ourselves ensnared in a captivating conversation in the living room. The atmosphere wrapped around them like a warm blanket, easy and inviting, but beneath it all, a palpable tension crackled, waiting to be unleashed. My heart raced with anticipation, each word he spoke igniting a fire within me. Finally, the moment had come to release the truth that had been simmering within me. I've reached my breaking point with Ethan, I whispered, my voice trembling with raw emotion. The mask I've worn for so long is slipping, and I can no longer pretend that everything is fine, that I remain untouched by the chaos swirling around me. I find myself content, not longing for anything beyond the life I currently embrace. He fell into a heavy silence, his eyes fixed in a piercing gaze that seemed to cut through the air. You can be yourself around me, he said, his voice a soft whisper that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. In a world stripped of pretense, authenticity reigns supreme. As I inhaled deeply, the weight of his words settled heavily around me. A shroud of enigma envelopes me. Confusion swirls within me, a tempest of emotions that leaves me questioning every step I take on this winding road. The facade of being okay has become unbearable. Beneath the surface, turmoil brews, and I can no longer hide it. I feel utterly lost, Ethan. In this moment I am an outsider, lost within the confines of my own being. His hand reached out once more, and this time I stood my ground, heart racing as the air thickened with tension. He cradled my cheek gently, his touch wrapping around me like a warm embrace, filling me with a sense of safety and solace. Your adventure has begun. A deep yearning stirs within you, a desperate hope that someone will see you again, that they will remember the very core of who you are. As I closed my eyes, a torrent of emotion surged within me, sweeping me away on its relentless tide. It was something far deeper than Ethan's tale. It was a tale spun from everything that had eluded my grasp. The endless stretches of silence, the acts of pretending everything is fine, the fleeting instances of uncertainty that linger in the air, leaving one grappling with the unresolved tension. I whispered, assuring him that nothing was broken, and he replied with a soothing cadence. Seize the moment to unveil the depths of your authentic self. In that fleeting moment, everything changed irrevocably. Dark clouds of doubt gathered, casting shadows over the future that lay ahead. As I stood on the precipice of uncertainty, the weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon me. Yet, deep within, a flicker of resolve ignited. I could no longer linger in the shadows, evading the essence of who I truly was. Ethan had unearthed a truth I had buried deep within. A truth that whispered I am deserving of recognition, of being cherished, and of being truly wanted. For the first time in years, a wave of liberation washed over me, breaking the chains of that lingering fear. Dark clouds of uncertainty gathered as I contemplated the impending events that lay before me. A fierce battle raged within me, a clash between the haunting memories that had forged my past and the tantalizing possibilities that slowly began to unfold before me. Still, one truth burned brightly in my mind. The awakening inside me demanded my attention, refusing to be ignored. For what felt like an eternity, I had buried my emotions deep within, concealing the burning desire to be seen and acknowledged. Yet that chapter has drawn to a close. The curtain had finally fallen on my elaborate deception. The woman I had buried was on the brink of being found.